Kako, a Coma Mida Curtain Call, a weekly program of reviews, previews, interviews, and features of and with the great art and artists on Maui and beyond. I'm Paul James Brown. We are off to a new year with a bang. This weekend, the Period 4 Intermediate and Advanced Acting class at King Kekalike High School produced the island premiere of Tracy Well's TV-like sitcom play, Checking In. Seabury Hall presented another island premiere, Junie B. Jones, the musical Junior. The Maui Arts and Cultural Center had an activation in association with their exhibit Ocean of Peace. The Hui Nai Ao opened a very strong annual juried show, and the Maui Pops whisked us off to Broadway Rocks with LaKisha Jones and Dan Domenech. Phew! If you were there, you know. If you weren't, I know you know, because the Coconut Wireless is exploding with the buzz. We had Roger Daltrey and Aretha, Glenn Fry and the Eagles in the persons of the Maui Pips, Elizabeth Fellows, Molly Shad, Tracy Blauser, Tina McClellan, Elisha Collins, Keegan Otterson, John Rowell, and Justin Bruss. Pops guitarist Mark Gilmore doing Joe Walsh. Then Ike and Tina showed up, and Elizabeth Fellows absolutely killed it sailing into the ionosphere on Proud Mary. Elphaba and Dr. Jekyll also put in an appearance, and Freddie Mercury and the Maui Pips were remarkable on Bohemian Rhapsody, among so many others. The audience erupted into extended, raucous standing ovations 5 times, stopping the show several times in profound appreciation of what they were witnessing. The Pops are having one of their best years ever, and you do well to get tickets for their next 2 shows. Their tribute to Rodgers and Hammerstein in February and Paula Fuga in March. Tickets can be had at mauiarts.org, and more information is available at mauipops.org. Tracy Wellʻs has loved theater since she was a child. Her parents took her to the local community theater where she was exposed to their productions. When she got to high school, she was bitten by the theater bug and appeared in several shows, but the bug went into hibernation until her husband became a middle school drama teacher. It was there she recognized the limitations of the, quote, legitimate theater, unquote, for school productions, budgets, cast size, technical and staging issues. She wrote her first play, a one-act based on O. Henry's The Gift of the Magi, and has never looked back. She's written 255 plays, one-acts, and skits for school productions throughout the U.S. and internationally. Besides this production here, it will be produced in Michigan, Missouri, and Texas. Checking In, directed by Chris Kepler, takes place in the Regency Arms Hotel, a high-end establishment in an unnamed city with a beautiful view from every room, as Natasha Del Height, the hotel's newly hired housekeeper, informs us, and Bernard Cash Ashby, the bellhop, agrees with her, but he's not looking out the window. He has a different beautiful view, and we are off on an exploration of life's journey as reflected by a host of guests over a short 90 minutes in 2 acts with a cast of 14 playing 2 different roles. Besides Bernard and Natasha, the rest of the staff consists of the hotel manager, Mrs. Humphreys, Ashley Kamara, the concierge, Martha, Axel Fleck T., the kids club captain, Jenny, Cecilia Ashby, and Helga, Quinn Wilson, the spa's masseuse. After Natasha and Bernard have their opening tete-a-tete, we see Lucy, Sonny Chapman, as a hyperactive longtime child resident of the hotel, jumping on the bed to the disdain of Mrs. Humphreys, who does a marvelous catch of Lucy as she reluctantly agrees to end her gymnastics. Mrs. Humphreys decides the only thing to do with Lucy is to hand her over to Jenny, the kids' club captain. This does not sit well with Lucy. Our next scene involves a baby moon. The couple, played by Axel Lobser and Bella Moon Hunkin, have waited until days before her due date to take the trip they have always dreamed of. However, guess what happens? Yep, she goes into labor. Bernard has a bit of a meltdown. A mother, Helala Kanekoa, is trying to figure out what they should do on their special trip with her daughter, Hero Riggs, who is only interested in the virtual world on her phone. In her experience, the real world doesn't measure up. Enter the hotel concierge, Martha, to the rescue. The penultimate scene in the first act is one of the silliest in the show. It features 5 backpackers who show up inexplicably in one room that only has 1 bed. The 5 are Quinn Wilson, Esther K. Kahuna, Ashley Kamara, Keikoa Walling Krebs, and Keala Sanfranca Quascut. The final scene in the act has John Spencer come out to meet her, struggling with his work. Enter Martha, who wants to help him in more ways than one. Act 2 opens with Ms. Fleck T as a bride and Master Wallen Krebs as her groom. Apparently, they are role players, and although the bride has other ideas about how they should spend their time, the groom convinces her otherwise. Then we have a chaotic family with 4 gun-toting children who are out of control. The parents, Ms. Kekuhuna and Master Sanfranca Quascoat, don't seem to be able to handle their offspring, played by Ms. Kanikoa, Chapman, and Riggs, along with Master Lausser, who has a marvelous moment on the ledge outside the hotel. Of course, Jenny comes to the rescue by literally tying them up and dragging them off. Next, we meet Chuck, Master Tomita, and Mabel, Ms. Hunkin, as a couple on the trip of a lifetime when he throws his back out. She tries to massage him, but is to no avail. Bernard calls for Helga. Every time we hear the door knock, we expect Helga, but no, first Mrs. Humphreys, who wants assurance the couple do not intend to sue. Then Martha comes in with some tempting things for Mabel to do. And finally, in comes Helga, Master Quinn, with some, shall we say, unorthodox techniques, providing some of the biggest laughs of the night. Then comes the most heartwarming performance of the show by Ms. Ashby as a septuagenarian widow who has come to scatter her husband's ashes in various places they visited in their early years. When Natasha commits an unspeakably clumsy act, Ms. Ashby exhibits exceptional kindness and forgiveness. The show ends where it began, with Bernard and Natasha. As the perpetual flirters, Master Ashby tries his best to cover up his feelings for Natasha, and Ms. Height does her best to challenge him so he can deny and flee. Their characters are the ones who appear in nearly every scene, and their journey is the ultimate one in the show. Ashley Kamara is officious, professional, and thorough as Mrs. Humphrey, and she has a lot of fun as one of the backpackers. Axel Fleck T shines in both of her roles. As the concierge, she is helpful to the guests, and as the bride, she is compliant with the wishes of her husband. Cecilia Ashby's Jenny enters with an acrobatic flourish, complete with a full split, and takes control of the situation in both of her scenes. And then, as the widow in the show's penultimate scene, she takes the play to a completely different place than any of the previous scenes. Her loss is palpable, and her forgiveness is total. Bella Moon Hunkin's work as the pregnant mom-to-be was exceptional, and her Mabel was appropriately distraught and unconcerned at once. As the dad-to-be, Maxwell Lobster showed a typical clueless husband. When Bernard brings him the warm water, he throws it in her face. Well, I rest my case. Quinn Wilson's Helga, along with Ms. Ashby's Jenny, were the comic relief in this show, and his calisthenic approach to massage was hilarious. Kamau Tomita gave us 2 distinct characters. John Spencer was the frustrated businessman who hated what he was doing and was open to finding new paths in his life. Then as Chuck, he demonstrated a physicality required to convince us he had a serious back injury. One of the best things in this show happens before the curtain and at intermission. Mr. Kepler, recognizing what outstanding musicians there are at the school, had guitarist Hunter Meyer Horseman provide the pre-show and intermission music. I heard him do Glenn Frey and Joe Walsh on Hotel California, and then Carlos Santana on Black Magic Woman. At intermission, he took on Eric Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan, even playing Behind His Head on Sweet Home Chicago, and he concluded with Bob Weir and Jerry Garcia on Sugar Magnolia. We arrived late, so we missed his opening tunes. I encourage you to do everything in your power to catch his whole show half hour before opening. Once again, Mr. Kepler has given his students the opportunity to create live theater for an appreciative audience. Their creativity and enthusiasm are the hallmark of his productions. I wish they could look into set designer and costume for future productions and let us know what that would cost. I am certain the community would come up with the necessary funds. A $30 million theater deserves to have professional quality production values. Checking In continues next Friday and Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 3 p.m. at the King Kekalike Performing Arts Center in Pukolani. Tickets are available online through waveofharmony.org or at the box office half hour before opening. Well, that's Curtain Call for this week. Mahalo nui loa for joining me. I'm Paul James Brown. Maui strong. Ahui ho.